They spent the afternoon eating, laughing, and watching the worm chase butterflies. When the sun started to set, Thorn stood up, his leaves rustling. "Thank you all for coming," he said. "This tree means a lot to me. And it's nice to have friends to share it with." Ella smiled. "We're glad to be here, Thorn." They packed up the picnic, saying goodbye to Thorn and Torrin. Lyra and Gareth left first, Lyra winking at Ella as she went. Ella and Cale walked back to the barn together, the forest quiet around them. The only sounds were their boots on the leaves and the wind in the trees. "Nice picnic," Ella said. Kyle nodded. "Yeah? Torrin's poem was interesting." Ella laughed. "You mean embarrassing?" "Because it was. So embarrassing." Cale stopped, turning to her. "It wasn't embarrassing. It was nice to be seen with you." Ella's heart raced. "Really?" Cale nodded. He reached out, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. His fingers brushed her cheek, and Ella leaned into his touch. "I like you, Ella," he said, his voice soft. "A lot." Ella's breath caught. "I like you too, Cale." He leaned in, his lips just inches from hers. Then the worm zoomed past them, chasing a firefly. Kyle laughed, pulling away. "Maybe next time," he said. Ella smiled. "Maybe next time." They walked the rest of the way to the barn in silence, their hands brushing every so often. Ella went to bed that night with a smile on her face. Maybe Torrin's poem wasn't so bad after all. Chapter 13. Lyra's Slip-Up and Ella's Doubt. Wednesday started with a storm. Rain poured down, lightning flashed, and thunder boomed. Ella's car sputtered on the way to the barn, but it made it, thanks to Cale's repairs. When she walked in, Lyra was sitting on the porch swing, eating a granola bar, her silver hair wet from the rain. "Hey," Lyra said. "Cale's in a mood. Storm's messing with his magic." Ella nodded. "I'll go check on him." She found Cale in room 3, pacing back and forth. His horn was visible, glowing faintly red. A bad sign. He stopped when he saw her, his teal eyes wide. "Sorry," he said, the horn vanishing. "I didn't hear you come in." Lyra said. "The storm's messing with your magic," Ella said. "You okay?" Cale nodded. "Just jumpy. Storms remind me of something." Ella sat on the rug next to him. "Want to talk about it?" Cale hesitated. Then he sighed. "When I was younger, a storm hit the forest. A human came, said he needed help. His car was stuck. I helped him, fed him honey, fixed his car. Then he stole my horn shard, sold it to a warlock, hurt a lot of forest creatures." Ella's heart dropped. "I'm so sorry, Cale. That's terrible." Cale shrugged. "It was a long time ago. I just don't trust humans. Not easily." Ella nodded. She thought about her old boss, who'd fired her for standing up for herself. Her parents, who thought she was wasting her life. The customer who'd yelled at her over a muffin. She knew what it was like to be betrayed by someone you trusted. "I get it," she said. "Humans can be terrible. But not all of us. I hope you know that." Cale looked at her. His eyes were soft. "I know. You're different." Ella's heart warmed. "Thanks." They sat in silence for a minute, listening to the rain. Then Cale stood up. "We should do the energy guide, before the magic gets worse." Ella nodded, picking up the wand. The session was tense. Cale's magic was jumpy, the teal glow flickering. When Ella pulled away, he looked exhausted. "Rest," Ella said. "I'll handle the other clients today." Cale nodded. "Thanks, Ella. I owe you." Ella smiled. "You can buy me a latte tomorrow. Oat milk, no sugar." Cale laughed. "Deal." Ella spent the rest of the day helping Lyra with the worm, who was scared of the thunder, and Thorn, who was worried about his maple tree. When she took a break for lunch, Lyra sat next to her, grinning. "Did Cale tell you about the human who betrayed him?" Lyra said, taking a bite of her sandwich. Ella nodded. "Yeah? It's terrible." Lyra sighed. "He's never been the same. After that, he stopped trusting anyone, even other magical creatures. But he trusts you. That's big." Ella smiled. "Really?" "Yep," Lyra said. "He talks about you. A lot." Ella made cookies. Ella helped the worm. Ella likes pineapple on pizza, it's cute. Ella's face warmed. He does? Lyra nodded. He's scared though. Scared you'll hurt him. Like that other human did. Ella's smile faded. I would never hurt him. You know that, right? Of course I do, Lyra said. But Kale, he needs time. Just be patient with him. Ella nodded. She thought about Kyle's soft smile, his honey cookies, his kiss on the cheek. She thought about the way he'd fixed her car, the way he'd come to the cat shelter, the way he'd held the tabby kitten. She would be patient. For him. But later that afternoon, Ella was in the break room making a cup of coffee when she heard Lyra and Gareth talking. He's just using her, Gareth said. You know that. He needs a human tech to get close to the Forest Council. She's just a tool. Lyra sighed. You're wrong. He likes her. Likes her? Gareth said. He doesn't like anyone. Not after what happened. He's using her. And when he's done, he'll break her heart. Ella froze. She dropped her coffee mug, the ceramic shattering on the floor. Gareth and Lyra looked up. Lyra's face turned white. Ella, she said, it's not what you think. Ella ran out of the break room, her eyes stinging. She didn't stop until she reached her car. She got in, turning the key, and drove away. Gareth was right. Kyle was using her. He didn't trust her. He never had. She was just a tool. A human tech. Nothing more. Ella cried the whole way home. Chapter 14. Cold Shoulders and Hidden Herbs. Ella didn't go to work on Thursday. She texted Gareth, I'm sick. Won't be in. She stayed in bed all day, watching movies and eating ice cream. Her phone buzzed multiple times. Texts from KL, Lyra, even Thorn. She ignored them all. Gareth's words played in her head. He's using her. She's just a tool. She thought about Kale's honey cookies, his kiss on the cheek, his, you're different. Had it all been a lie? Had he just been using her to get close to the Forest Council? To get something he wanted? Ella's heart hurt. She'd let herself trust him. Let herself like him. And now she felt stupid. On Friday, Ella dragged herself out of bed. She had to go to work. She needed the money. She put on her oldest flannel shirt, her hair in a messy bun, and headed to the barn. The atmosphere was tense when she arrived. Lyra was waiting for her, her face guilty. Ella, she said, I'm so sorry. Gareth was wrong. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Save it, Ella said, walking past her. I have work to do. She found Kel in room 3, his face worried. You didn't come yesterday. Are you okay? I'm fine, Ella said, her voice cold. She picked up the wand. Let's get this over with. Kale's face fell. He didn't say anything, just closed his eyes, his horn reappearing. The energy guide session was silent. The teal glow was dim, flickering. When Ella pulled away, she didn't look at him. I'll handle the other clients, she said, turning to leave. Ella, Kale said. What's wrong? Did I do something? Ella froze. She wanted to yell at him. Ask him if he was using her. Ask him if any of it was real. But she didn't. She just shook her head. Nothing, she said. I'm just tired. She walked out of the room, leaving Kale alone. The rest of the day was miserable. Ella avoided Kale, working with Thorn and Torrent instead. Lyra tried to talk to her, but Ella ignored her. Gareth didn't even try. He just stared at his clipboard, his face guilty. When it was time to leave, Ella grabbed her toolkit and headed for the door. Kale was waiting for her, leaning against the porch rail. Ella, he said, we need to talk. I don't have anything to say to you, Ella said, walking past him. Kale grabbed her arm, stopping her. Or, please, tell me what's wrong. Did someone say something? Did Lyra? Let go of me, Ella said, pulling away. Her eyes were stinging. Just leave me alone. She got into her car, driving away. She didn't look in the rearview mirror. That night, Ella was sitting on her porch, drinking a glass of wine, when she heard a knock on her door. She opened it, expecting Lyra. It was Kyle. He was holding a small bag of herbs, his face worried. I heard you were sick. These are for you. They help with colds. And stress. Ella stared at him. You didn't have to. I wanted to, Kale said. He held out the bag. Or, please, take them. Ella took the bag, her hand shaking. Thanks. Cale nodded. He stood there, like he wanted to say something else. Then he turned to leave. Cale, Ella said, stopping him. Did you ever trust me? Or was I just a tool? Cale's face turned white. What? No. Ella, Gareth said you're using me, Ella said. To get close to the Forest Council. To get something you want. Is that true? Cale stepped forward, his eyes wide. No, Ella, that's not true. I would never use you. You're more than that. So much more. Ella's heart hurt. She wanted to believe him. But the doubt was still there. Prove it, she said. Cale hesitated. Then he said, come with me. Tomorrow, I'll show you. I'll tell you everything. Ella nodded. Okay, tomorrow. Cale smiled, relieved. I'll pick you up at 10 a.m. He left, and Ella stood on her porch, holding the bag of herbs. Maybe he was telling the truth. Maybe Gareth was wrong. Maybe she could trust him. Just one more chance. Chapter 15. Old Wounds and New Trust. Saturday morning was sunny, the storm gone. Ella woke up early, nervous. She put on a nice shirt and jeans, then waited for Cale. He arrived at 10 a.m. exactly, his truck clean, his hair tied back. Ready? He said. Ella nodded. Where are we going? You'll see, Cale said. They drove for 30 minutes into the deep forest. The trees grew taller, the air quieter. Cale pulled off the road, parking next to a small clearing. Here, he said. Ella got out of the truck. The clearing was empty, except for a small, overgrown cabin. Its windows were broken, its door hanging off its hinges. This is where it happened, Cale said, his voice soft. The human who betrayed me. This was my cabin. Ella's heart dropped. You lived here? Cale nodded. He walked toward the cabin, Ella following. He pushed open the door, stepping inside. It was empty, dusty. A few pieces of furniture remained. A broken chair, an old table, a bookshelf filled with water-damaged books. I was 200 years old, Cale said. Young. Stupid. I thought humans were. Good. I helped him, fed him, fixed his car, and he stole my horn shard. Sold it to a warlock. The warlock used it to hurt the forest creatures. I couldn't stop him. Not in time. Ella put her hand on his arm. I'm so sorry, Cale. Cale turned to her. His eyes were shiny. I was scared. After that, scared to trust anyone. Scared to get close. But then you came. You didn't care that I'm a unicorn. You didn't want anything from me. You just wanted to work. To help. He took her hand, his fingers lacing with hers. I don't care about the Forest Council. I don't care about getting anything. I care about you, Ella. You're the first person I've trusted in 300 years. And I'm sorry I didn't tell you sooner. I was scared. Scared you'd leave. Scared you'd hurt me. Ella's eyes were wet. I would never hurt you, Cale. You have to know that. I know, he said. He pulled her closer, his arms wrapping around her. I'm sorry. For making you doubt. For not trusting you. Ella hugged him back, her face pressed against his chest. He was warm, strong, and he smelled like honey and pine. I'm sorry too, she said, for listening to Gareth. For not trusting you. Cale pulled away, his hands on her cheeks. He leaned in, his lips just inches from hers. Can I kiss you? He said. Ella nodded. Yes. He kissed her, softly at first, then deeper. His lips were warm, his hands gentle. Ella's heart raced, her fingers tangling in his hair. When they pulled away, Cale's eyes were bright. I like you, Ella. A lot. I like you too, Cale, she said, grinning. They walked back to the truck, their hands intertwined. The forest was quiet, the sun shining through the trees. Want to get pizza? Kyle said. Pineapple and pepperoni. Ella laughed. No, but you're paying. Cale smiled. Deal. They drove back to town, laughing and talking. Ella felt light, happy. The doubt was gone. The fear was gone. For the first time in a long time, she felt like she belonged. And as they pulled into the pizza place, Ella knew one thing for sure. She was falling for this shadow unicorn. Hard, and she didn't care. Chapter 16. Flower Fights and Cookie Failures. Sunday morning smelled like cinnamon and honey. Ella stood in her apartment kitchen, wearing an old apron. It said, "World's Okayest Baker," while Kale leaned against the counter, watching her measure flour. Sunlight streamed through the windows, catching the dust motes in the air, and the radio played soft country music. Kale's request, surprisingly. "Are you sure you don't want to help?" Ella said, grinning. "Or are you scared you'll burn the cookies again?" Kale's ears turned pink. "I didn't burn the first batch. They were caramelized." "Caramelized," Ella repeated, laughing. "Sure, caramelized to a crisp." He pushed off the counter, stepping behind her. His arms wrapped around her waist, his chin resting on her shoulder. "Fine, H me. But if I mess up, you're taking the blame." Ella leaned back into his chest, smiling. "Deal." They measured flour, sugar, and honey, Kale's favorite, side by side. Kale's hands were big, clumsy with the measuring cups, and he spilled flour on the counter. Ella laughed, wiping it off his cheek with her thumb. "Oops," he said, grinning. He dipped his finger in the flour, tapping her nose. Ella gasped. "Hey!" She grabbed a handful of flour, tossing it at him. Kyle laughed, tossing flour back. Soon, they were covered in white, the kitchen a mess, the radio forgotten. Kale caught her around the waist, spinning her in a circle. Ella laughed, her hands on his shoulders. When he stopped, they were inches apart. Kale's eyes were bright, his cheeks dusted with flour. He leaned in, kissing her soft, sweet, with a hint of honey. The doorbell rang. Ella pulled away, laughing. "That's Lyra. She said she wanted to taste test." Kyle groaned. "Of course she did." Ella opened the door. Lyra stood on the porch, holding a container of maple syrup, her eyes wide when she saw the flour-covered kitchen and Kale's flour-streaked face. "Whoa," she said. "Did you two have a flour fight? Or did you try to bake a cake and fail?" "None of your business," Kyle said, but he was smiling. Lyra walked in, setting the maple syrup on the counter. "Gareth sent me," he said, to apologize. "For, you know, the thing about using you." She looked at Ella, her face guilty. "He's too stubborn to do it himself." Ella smiled. "Tell him it's okay. I forgive him." "Really?" Lyra said. "He thought you'd never talk to him again." "Really?" Ella said. She looked at Kale, who nodded. "We all make mistakes. Even grumpy goblins." Lyra grinned. "Good. Now, where are the cookies? I'm starving." They baked the cookies. Kale didn't burn them this time and ate them with Lyra, dipping them in maple syrup. Lyra teased them the whole time, but it was warm, friendly, like family. When Lyra left, Ella and Kale cleaned the kitchen side by side. Kale washed the dishes, Ella dried them. Their hands brushed every so often, and each time, Ella's heart skipped a beat. "Thanks for today," Ella said, putting the last dish away. Kale turned to her, his hands on her hips. "Thanks for letting me mess up your kitchen. And your flour." Ella laughed. "Anytime." He kissed her, slow and deep. The kitchen was clean, the sun was setting, and for a moment, everything felt perfect. Chapter 17. Worm Hunts and Forest Flowers. Tuesday started with a panic. Ella arrived at the barn to find Lyra pacing, her silver hair a mess. "He's gone," she said. "The worm." I turned my back for 2 seconds, and he vanished. Ella's heart dropped. The worm was tiny, fragile, too small to be alone in the forest. "Did you check his favourite spots?" "The office." "The break room?" Lyra nodded. "I checked everywhere. Garrett's looking by the maple tree. Thorn's checking the stream. We can't find him." Kale walked in, his face serious. "What's wrong? The worm's gone," Ella said. "We need to find him." Kale nodded. "Lit up. Ella, you come with me. We'll check the eastern forest. He likes the berries there. Lyra, check the western edge. Gareth, keep looking near the barn. Thorn, let us know if you find anything." They split up, Kale leading Ella into the eastern forest. The trees were tall, the air cool, and the only sounds were their boots on the leaves and the birds singing. "He's probably scared," Kale said, his voice soft. The storm last week spooked him. He might be hiding. Ella nodded. She called out, "Little guy? Where are you?" They walked for 20 minutes, checking bushes and hollow trees. Ella was starting to panic. What if the worm was hurt? What if he'd wandered too far? Then Kyle stopped. "Listen." Ella quieted. She heard it. A soft, whimpering sound coming from a bush up ahead. "There," Kyle said. He knelt down, gently pushing the bush aside. The worm was curled up inside, his blue scales dull, his wings trembling. He'd gotten stuck in a thorny vine, his leg tangled. "Hey, little guy," Ella said, softening her voice. She carefully untangled the vine, while Kyle held the bush back. The worm nuzzled her hand, his eyes wide. "You're okay," Ella said, picking him up. "We found you." Kyle stood up, smiling. "Good. Lyra would have cried if we lost him." Ella laughed. She held the worm close, walking back toward the barn. Kyle walked beside her, his hand brushing hers every so often. They passed a patch of wildflowers, tiny, purple, growing along the path. Kyle stopped, picking one. He tucked it behind Ella's ear, his fingers brushing her cheek. "For you," he said. Ella's face warmed. "Thanks. It's pretty." Kyle smiled. "Not as pretty as you." Ella laughed, shaking her head. "You're such a sap." But she leaned into his side, the worm sleeping in her arms, the flower behind her ear. When they got back to the barn, Lyra tackled them, hugging the worm tight. "You found him." "I was so worried." Gareth sighed, but he was smiling. "Good. Now we can get back to work." The centaur's waiting for his energy guide. Ella handed the worm to Lyra, then turned to Kale. He winked at her, the flower still behind her ear. Ella smiled. Days like this, finding lost worms, picking wildflowers, laughing with friends, were the best kind. And she was glad she got to share them with Kale. Chapter 18. Hot Cocoa and Late Night Talks. Friday night was cold. Rain poured down, wind howled, and the power went out at Ella's apartment. She lit candles, wrapping a blanket around her shoulders, when there was a knock on the door. It was Kale, holding a thermos and a flashlight. "Heard the power went out," he said. "Brought hot cocoa. And a blanket, just in case." Ella smiled, letting him in. "You're the best." Kale set the thermos on the coffee table, sitting next to her on the couch. He poured the hot cocoa. Rich, creamy, with a hint of honey, handing her a mug. "Thanks," Ella said, taking a sip. It warmed her up, from her fingers to her toes. They sat in silence for a while, watching the candlelight flicker. The rain tapped against the windows, and the wind howled outside, but inside it was warm, cozy. "Tell me about your masters," Kale said, breaking the silence. "Medieval folklore. What was that like?" Ella smiled. "It was hard. Long nights, lots of papers, professors who thought I was wasting my time. But I loved it. Reading about knights and dragons, about old stories that people used to tell, it felt like coming home." Kale nodded. "I get that. The forest feels like home to me. Always has." Ella leaned her head on his shoulder. "Do you ever regret it, being a unicorn? Having to live so long, watching things change?" Kale hesitated. "Sometimes. I've watched friends die, forests burn, humans destroy things they don't understand. But then I meet people like you, like Lyra, like Thorn, and it's worth it." He turned to her, his hand on her cheek. "You make it worth it." Ella's heart warmed. I'm glad I met you." They talked for hours about her college days, about his childhood in the forest, about their hopes for the future. Ella told him about her grandma, about the maple tree they used to climb. Kale told her about his mother, about the honeybees she used to keep. When the power came back on, the clock read midnight. Kyle stood up, stretching. "I should go. You have work tomorrow." Ella nodded. She walked him to the door. "Thanks for the hot cocoa," she said. "And the talk. It meant a lot." Kale smiled. He leaned in, kissing her forehead. "Any time. I'll see you tomorrow." Ella watched him leave, her heart full. Moments like this, late night talks, hot cocoa, quiet intimacy, were the ones she'd been missing. and she was glad she got to share them with Kale. Chapter 19. Parent Visits and Unicorn Secrets. Saturday morning was chaotic. Ella's phone rang at 8 a.m. Her mum. "Why, honey? Your dad and I are in Bramblewood. We thought we'd surprise you." "Can we come over?" Ella froze. "Oh, Mum, you're in Bramblewood? Now?" "Yes. We wanted to see your new apartment. And meet your new friend. Kyle, right? You mentioned him in your last call." Ella's heart raced. Her parents didn't know Kale was a unicorn. They thought he was just her co-worker. She'd been meaning to tell them, but she hadn't found the right time. "Sure," Ella said. "Come over at 10. I'll make breakfast." She hung up, then called Kale. He picked up on the first ring. "Hey," he said. "What's wrong? You sound panicked." "My parents are coming over," Ella said, "in 2 hours. They want to meet you. And they don't know you're a unicorn." Kale's voice softened. "Hey, it's okay. We'll figure it out. I'll be there in 30 minutes. We can make a plan." Ella sighed. "Thanks. I'm so nervous. They're gonna ask a million questions. About my job, about you." "Hey," Kale said. "I'll handle it. I've talked to humans before. Remember? The grocery store. Mabel?" Ella laughed. "Yeah? Mabel. Who knows you're a unicorn." "Details," Kale said. "I'll be there soon. Relax." Kale arrived 25 minutes later holding a dozen donuts, Ella's favorite, and a jar of honey for her parents. He helped her clean the apartment, straightening the couch, folding the blanket, hiding the worm emergency manual in a drawer. "He's not going to turn into a unicorn in front of them, right?" Ella said, nervous. Kyle smiled. "No, I can control it. Unless I get really angry, or really happy, or really surprised." Ella groaned. "Great." The doorbell rang at 10 a.m. exactly. Ella took a deep breath, opening the door. Her parents stood on the porch. Her mum, with curly brown hair and a big smile. Her dad, with a gruff expression but soft eyes. "Ella," her mum said, hugging her, "your apartment is so cute. And this must be Kale." Kale held out his hand. "Nice to meet you, sir, ma'am. Ella's told me a lot about you." Ella's dad shook his hand. "Nice to meet you, Kale. Ella says you work with her at the farm?" Ella's face warmed. "Yeah? Thorne's Magical Services. We take care of animals." Kale nodded. "Mostly. We do a lot of conservation work too. Protecting the forest." They sat at the kitchen table, eating donuts and drinking coffee. Ella's mom asked Kale a million questions. Where he was from, what his family was like, how he met Ella. Kale answered smoothly, avoiding the unicorn part, talking about his family in the forest and growing up around nature. Then Ella's dad spoke up. "Ella says you fixed her car. That's nice of you. But, are you sure this job is right for her? She has a master's, Kale. She should be doing something better." Ella's heart dropped. She'd known this was coming. Her dad had never understood her love for history, for silly jobs like this. But Kale spoke up, his voice calm but firm. "With all due respect, sir, Ella loves this job. She's good at it. She helps magical creatures, helps the forest, every day. That's not better or worse. That's important. And she's happy. Isn't that what matters?" Ella's dad stared at him. Then he nodded. "Yeah? Yeah, it is. I'm sorry. I just want what's best for her." Ella smiled. "I know, Dad. And this is what's best for me." Her mom grinned. "I like him, Ella. He's a keeper." Ella's face turned red. Kyle's ears were pink. When her parents left, Ella hugged Kale tight. "Thank you for sticking up for me." Kyle smiled. "I just told the truth. You're amazing, Ella. Everyone should see that." He kissed her, slow and sweet. The apartment was quiet, the sun shining through the windows. Ella's heart was full. Her parents might not know Kale was a unicorn yet, but they liked him, and that was a start. Chapter 20. Maple Trees and Future Promises. Sunday was perfect. The sun was shining, the birds were singing, and Thorne's maple tree had grown another inch. To celebrate, Thorne had invited everyone to a picnic, Ella, Kale, Lyra, Gareth, Torrin, even the worm who was wearing a tiny flower crown Lyra had made. Ella arrived with Kale, holding a basket of sandwiches and a container of potato salad. Thorn was already there, sitting under the tree, his leaves rustling with excitement. "Look," he said, pointing to the tree. "It's growing. Soon it'll be as big as my old one." Ella smiled. "It's beautiful, Thorn. You should be proud." They spread out the blanket, unpacking the food. Lyra chased the worm, Gareth complained about the noisy humans, and Torrin recited a poem about growing love and growing trees. Ella sat next to Kale, leaning against his side. He wrapped his arm around her, his hand on her hip. The sun was warm, the food was good, and the company was better. "I have something to tell you," Kale said, leaning in to whisper in her ear. Ella turned to him, curious. "What?" Kale smiled. "I talked to the Forest Council. They want to hire you full-time, as a senior tech. Better pay, better benefits. You'd be in charge of training new techs, working with the magical creatures, whatever you want." Ella's eyes widened. "Really? They want me?" Kale nodded. "They've been watching you. You're good with the creatures. Good with us. They said you're exactly what we need." Ella's heart raced. I don't know what to say. Thank you for telling them about me." Kale kissed her forehead. "You earned it. I just helped them see what I already knew." Lyra cheered, hearing their conversation. "Like, yes, now you can't leave us. Gareth would cry if you left." Gareth glared. "I would not." Everyone laughed. When the sun started to set, they packed up the picnic. Thorn hugged Ella, his leaves brushing her cheek. "Congratulations on the new job. You deserve it." Torrin nodded. "And congratulations on the love. It's nice to see two souls so happy." Ella's face warmed. Kale squeezed her hand. They walked back to the barn together, the forest quiet around them. The moon was rising, casting a soft glow over the trees. "I'm happy," Ella said, breaking the silence. "Really happy. This job, my friends, it's more than I ever hoped for." Kale turned to her, his teal eyes bright. "I'm happy too. You changed things. For me. For all of us." He pulled her close, kissing her slow, deep, full of promise. "I want to be with you," Kale said, his voice soft. "For a long time, if you'll have me." Ella smiled, tears in her eyes. "No, of course I will." They walked the rest of the way to the barn, their hands intertwined. The forest was quiet, the moon was bright, and for a moment, everything felt perfect. Ella knew there would be challenges. Her parents finding out about Kale, the new job, the chaos of magical creatures, but she didn't care. She had Kale, she had her friends. She had a job she loved, and that was enough. In the grim, chaotic world, sometimes the best things were the small ones. Honey cookies, forest flowers, late-night talks, and a shadow unicorn who loved her. Ella smiled. Life was weird, but it was her weird, and she wouldn't have it any other way. Chapter 21. Senior Tech, Jitters and Forest Traps. Monday marked Ella's first day as Senior Magical Creature Care Tech, and she was a mess. She'd woken up at 6 a.m., ironed her nicest flannel, the one with blue and green plaid, and arrived at the barn 45 minutes early. The sign on her new office door, Ella Marlowe Senior Tech, still felt surreal. She'd spent weeks as a newbie, fumbling with wands and panicking over worm emergencies, and now she was in charge of training new hires. "Breathe," Kale said, appearing in her office doorway with 2 lattes. He set one on her desk, vanilla oat milk, just how she liked it, and leaned against the frame. "You're gonna be great. You've handled worse than a trainee." Ella took a sip of latte, her hands still shaking. "What if I mess up? What if I teach them the wrong spell? What if they accidentally touch a unicorn's horn and get kicked?" Kale laughed. "Then you'll apologize and help them up. That's what being a senior tech is, learning from mistakes. Remember when you spilled honey all over my office? I didn't fire you." Ella groaned. "Don't remind me. That honey was everywhere." He stepped closer, his hand on her shoulder. "You've got this. I'll be right down the hall if you need me. And if all else fails, blame Gareth." Ella smiled, her nerves easing. Deal. Her first trainee arrived 10 minutes later. A young human named Mia, with pink hair and a backpack covered in magical creature stickers. "I'm so excited to work here," Mia said, bouncing on her toes. "I've always loved unicorns. And dryads. And worms. Oh, can I meet the worm later?" Ella laughed. "Absolutely. But first, safety manual. Rule 1. Never touch a unicorn's horn unless they ask. Rule 2. If a dryad cries maple syrup, grab a towel. Rule 3. Kale's cookies are his. Do not eat them." Mia nodded, scribbling notes. "Got it. No horn touching, no maple syrup messes, no Kale's cookies." They spent the morning going over wands, spells, and client schedules. Mia was a quick learner. She mastered the basic calming spell on her first try, and didn't panic when a nervous dryad spilled maple syrup on her shoes. By lunch, Ella was feeling confident. She and Mia sat in the break room, eating sandwiches when Lyra burst in, her face pale. "Something's wrong," she said. "I was in the eastern forest, by the berry patch, and I found a trap. A metal one. For magical creatures." Ella's heart dropped. "A trap? Like a poacher's trap?" Lyra nodded. "It had a unicorn horn shard on it, to lure them in. I disabled it, but who knows how many more are out there." Kale walked in, his face serious. "We need to check the forest. All of it. Ella, you and Mia stay here. Keep an eye on the clients. Lyra, Gareth, Thorn and I will search the perimeter." Ella nodded. "Be careful. And take the emergency wand." Kyle kissed her forehead. "He will. Don't worry." They left, and Ella turned to Mia, who looked scared. "It's okay," Ella said. "This doesn't happen often. We'll find the traps." But her stomach twisted. Poachers. After everything Kale had been through, after the human who betrayed him, she couldn't let anything happen to him. She spent the rest of the afternoon checking on clients, her mind elsewhere. When Kale returned at 5 p.m., his clothes covered in dirt, she ran to him. "Did you find more traps?" she said. Kyle nodded. 3 more. All near the maple tree. They're targeting unicorns. And Thorn's tree. They cut some of its branches, probably to get his attention. Ella's jaw tightened. Why would they do that? Thorn's tree is harmless. "Because magical creatures are valuable," Kale said, his voice cold. "Unicorn horns, dryad sap, worm scales. People pay a lot for them, and they don't care who they hurt to get it." Ella hugged him, her face pressed against his chest. "I'm glad you're okay." He held her tight. "I'm okay, but we need to be careful. They'll be back." That night, Ella lay in bed, staring at the ceiling. Poachers. Threats. She'd thought her life was finally calm. Good job, great friends, a boyfriend who loved her, but the world was still dangerous. But then she thought of Kyle, of Lyra, of Thorn, of all the people who had her back, and she felt better. They'd face this together. Like always. Chapter 22. Worm Scares and Midnight Patrols. Wednesday night was quiet. Too quiet. Ella was at her apartment, grading Mia's training notes, when her phone buzzed. It was Kyle, his voice tight with panic. "Ella, the worm's gone. Lay, again. But this time, there's a trap by his favorite bush. We think he was taken." Ella's blood ran cold. "Taken? By poachers?" "We don't know," Kale said. "Lyra's tracking his scent. Gareth's checking the western forest. I need you to stay at your apartment, lock the doors. Don't open them for anyone." "I'm not staying here," Ella said, grabbing her keys. "I'm coming. You need help." "Ella, I'm coming," she repeated, "and that's final." She hung up, racing to her car. The drive to the barn was tense. She kept checking her rearview mirror, half expecting to see a poacher's truck following her. When she arrived, Kyle was pacing by the porch, his horn visible, glowing red. "You shouldn't have come," he said. But he pulled her into a hug. "I told you I'm not letting you do this alone," Ella said. She pulled away, grabbing her wand from her toolkit. "Where's Lyra?" "East Forest," Kyle said. She said, "His scent leads that way. Let's go." They ran into the forest, their boots crunching on leaves. The moon was bright, casting shadows that looked like figures. Poachers waiting in the trees. Ella's heart raced, but she kept going. The worm was tiny, defenseless. She had to find him. "I hear something," Cale said, stopping. Ella quieted. She heard it. A soft whimper, coming from behind a thicket of bushes. "There," she said. Cale pushed the bushes aside. The worm was huddled in a hole, his wings trembling, his blue scales dull. Next to him was a metal trap, open but still dangerous. "Hey, little guy," Ella said, softening her voice. She carefully picked him up, holding him close. "You're okay. We're here." The worm nuzzled her neck, his whimpering stopping. Cale disabled the trap, his jaw tight. "Whoever did this knew where he'd be," Cale said. "They've been watching us." Ella nodded. She looked around, her wand raised. "We need to get back, before they come back." They walked back to the barn, Ella holding the worm, Cale walking close, his hand on her arm. When they arrived, Lyra and Gareth were waiting, their faces worried. "He's okay," Ella said, holding up the worm. Lyra sighed, relieved. "Thank God." "I know," Ella said. "We need to set up patrols. Day and night. Someone needs to watch the forest." Cale nodded. "I'll take the first shift. Midnight to 4 a.m. "I'll take the next," Ella said. Gareth groaned. "Great. Now I have to stay up all night. This is why I hate humans." But he grabbed his flashlight, heading for the forest. Ella stayed with Cale until midnight, helping him set up traps of their own, magical ones, this time, that would alert them if a poacher came near. When it was time for his patrol, she kissed him, her hands on his cheeks. "Be careful," she said. "I will," Cale said. He kissed her back. "Go to bed. I'll wake you at 4. Ella nodded, but she didn't sleep. She sat on her porch, her wand in hand, watching the forest. She thought about Kyle, walking alone in the dark, about the poachers, about the worm, scared and alone. At 4 a.m., Cale returned, his clothes covered in dew. "No sign of them," he said. "But I found another trap. Near the maple tree." Ella stood up, stretching. "I'll go check it out. You get some sleep." Cale shook his head. "I'm coming with you." Ella smiled. "Stubborn unicorn." "Guilty," he said. They walked to the maple tree, hand in hand. The trap was like the others, metal with a unicorn horn shard attached. Ella disabled it, her jaw tight. "They're not giving up," she said. Kyle nodded. He pulled her close, his face buried in her hair. "We'll stop them. Together." Ella closed her eyes, leaning into him. She hoped he was right. Chapter 23. Poacher Clues and Team Plans. Friday brought a breakthrough. Mia was in the eastern forest, collecting berries for the worm, when she found something. A piece of fabric caught on a tree branch. It was black, thick, with a logo stitched into the corner, a skull and crossbones, with a unicorn horn in the center. "I've seen this before," Lyra said, staring at the fabric. "It's the logo of the Black Claw Syndicate. They're poachers, worst in the region. They steal magical creatures and sell them to the highest bidder." Cale's face hardened. "I've heard of them. They're the ones who stole my horn shard 300 years ago. The ones who hurt the forest creatures." Ella's heart dropped. "They're the same ones? The ones who betrayed you?" Cale nodded. "They've been around for centuries, changing names, changing faces. But their methods are the same: lie, steal, hurt." Gareth slammed his clipboard on the table. "We need to stop them, before they take another creature, or worse, hurt someone." Thorn nodded, his leaves rustling. "I can help. The trees talk to me. They can tell me if someone's in the forest, if they're carrying traps." Torrin smiled. "I can recite a poem to distract them. A really long one. They'll fall asleep before they can set a trap." Ella laughed, but she nodded. "Every little bit helps. Here's the plan, Thorn. You talk to the trees. Let us know if the poachers come back. Lyra, you track their scent. See if you can find their camp. Gareth, you set up more magical traps. Torrin, you keep the clients calm. And Mia, you stay with the worm. Don't let him out of your sight." Everyone nodded. Cale stepped forward, his hand on Ella's shoulder. And what about us? Ella smiled. We're the backup. If the poachers come, we'll stop them. Together. They spent the day preparing. Thorn talked to the trees, planting listening seeds that would alert them if anyone entered the forest. Lyra tracked the poacher's scent to a cave on the edge of the forest, empty but filled with traps and empty cages. Gareth set up magical wards around the barn, glowing teal runes that would burn anyone who tried to enter with bad intentions. By dusk, they were ready. Ella and Cale sat on the porch, watching the forest, their hands intertwined. Are you scared? Ella said. Kyle nodded. No, but not for me. For you. For the worm. For everyone here. Ella squeezed his hand. We'll be okay. We have each other. And our friends. Kale smiled. Yeah? We do. They sat in silence, watching the sun set. The forest was quiet, but Ella could feel it. The trees, whispering to each other, the wind, carrying the scent of pine, the magic humming in her veins. At 9 p.m., Thorn's voice echoed through the barn. They're coming. The trees say they're carrying traps, lots of them. Ella and Cale stood up, their wands ready. Lyra and Gareth ran out of the barn, their weapons in hand. Mia ran out with the worm, hiding him in a closet in Ella's office. Stay here, Ella said to Mia. Lock the door. Don't come out until we say so. Mia nodded, locking the door. The poachers arrived 10 minutes later, 5 of them, wearing black jackets with the Black Claw logo, carrying metal traps and nets. They stopped at the edge of the forest, whispering to each other. Now, Cale said. They charged. Lyra attacked first, her sword singing as she cut through a poacher's net. Gareth threw a magical bomb, the teal light blinding the poachers. Thorn's trees grabbed their legs, roots wrapping around their ankles. Torrin recited a poem, long, dramatic, about a unicorn who outsmarted poachers, and 2 poachers stopped, staring at him, confused. Ella and Cale attacked the remaining 2. Cale's horn glowed teal, his magic knocking 1 poacher off his feet. Ella used her wand, the calming spell making the other poacher freeze, his eyes wide. Stop, Ella said. You're outnumbered. Give up. The poacher hesitated, then dropped his trap. Fine. But the syndicate won't stop. They want the unicorn. They'll be back. Kyle stepped forward, his voice cold. Then we'll be ready. They tied up the poachers, calling the local authorities, Marge, the grocery store owner, who was also the town sheriff. Small towns, am I right? When they left, the barn was quiet, the forest calm. Ella collapsed on the porch, exhausted. Cale sat next to her, handing her a water bottle. We did it, she said. Kyle nodded. We did. Together. He kissed her, slow and sweet. The moon was bright, the stars were shining, and for a moment, everything felt perfect. Chapter 24. Trap, Snares and Sacrifice. Sunday morning started with a scream. Ella was in her apartment, making pancakes, when her phone rang. It was Lyra. Her voice panicked. Ella, Kyle's in trouble. He went to check the eastern forest near the cave, and he stepped in a trap. It's a magical one, we can't get it off. Ella dropped her spatula, grabbing her keys. I'm on my way. Keep him calm. I'll bring the emergency wand. She raced to her car, her hand shaking. Magical traps were the worst. They could drain a creature's magic, even kill them if they weren't removed quickly. Cale was strong, but 300 years of trauma, of betrayal, she couldn't lose him. When she arrived at the forest, Lyra, Gareth and Thorn were gathered around a clearing. Kyle was there, his leg caught in a metal trap, his horn glowing red. His face was pale, his breathing shallow. Ella, Lyra said. Thank God. The trap's enchanted. It's draining his magic. We tried to remove it, but it won't budge. Ella knelt down next to Cale, her hands on his face. Hey, look at me. I'm here. I'm gonna get you out. Cale's eyes opened, his teal gaze soft. Ella, don't risk it. The trap. If you touch it, it'll drain your magic too. You're human. You can't handle it. I don't care, Ella said. She pulled out her emergency wand, the one Cale had given her, made from his old horn shard. This will work. Trust me. She leaned over the trap, the wand glowing teal. She whispered the disenchantment spell, one Kale had taught her, for emergencies, and touched the wand to the trap. The trap screamed, a high-pitched noise that made everyone cover their ears. It glowed red, then teal, then went dark. Ella pulled it off Kale's leg, tossing it aside. Kale collapsed, his magic drained. Ella caught him, holding him close. "Ooh, talk to me." He smiled, his eyes closing. "I'm okay. Just tired." They carried him back to the barn, laying him on a cot in his office. Ella sat next to him, holding his hand, while Lyra fetched honey water and Gareth checked his leg for injuries. "He'll be okay," Gareth said, his voice softer than usual. "The trap drained his magic, but it didn't hurt him. He just needs to rest." Ella nodded, but she didn't leave. She sat with him all day, reading to him from his favourite book, The Lord of the Rings, and feeding him honey water. When he woke up at dusk, his eyes were bright. "Hey," he said. "Hey yourself," Ella said, smiling. "You scared me." Kale squeezed her hand. "I'm sorry. I thought the trap was disabled. I didn't mean to worry you." Ella leaned down, kissing him. "Don't do it again. I can't lose you." He nodded. "I won't. I promise." Lyra walked in, grinning. "The poachers are gone. Marge arrested them, and she says the Black Claw Syndicate is sending someone to get them. They won't be back." Ella smiled. "Good. Now we can get back to normal. No more traps, no more poachers." Kyle laughed. "Normal, but normal for us is a worm who steals paper clips, a dryad who cries maple syrup, and a fox spirit who steals honey." Ella nodded. "Perfectly normal." They sat in silence, watching the sunset. Ella's heart was full. They'd faced poachers, traps, betrayal, but they'd faced it together. And that's all that mattered. Chapter 25. Maple Promises and Forever 1 year later. Ella stood in the eastern forest, her hand in Kale's, staring at Thorn's maple tree. It was tall now, its branches strong, its leaves bright green. A swing hung from one of the branches. Lyra's idea, and the worm was napping in the grass below, his tiny wings folded. "Look how big it is," Ella said, smiling. "Thorn would be so proud." Kale nodded. Thorn had passed away 3 months ago. Dryads lived a long time, but even they couldn't live forever. He'd asked to be buried under the tree, his last wish to watch it grow. "He is proud," Kale said. "I can feel him, in the wind, in the leaves." Ella leaned her head on his shoulder. "I miss him." "I do too," Kale said. He kissed her forehead. "But he's still here, with us." They walked back to the barn, hand in hand. Ella was still the senior tech, and Mia had become a great trainee. She even taught a new hire how to handle a nervous centaur. Lyra was still stealing honey, Gareth was still complaining about noisy humans, and Torrin still recited poems about love and trees. The barn was busy, but cozy. Mia was playing with the worm. Gareth was yelling at Lyra for stealing his sandwich, and Torrin was reciting a poem to a group of dryads. "Hey," Kale said, pulling Ella aside. He led her to the porch, where a small box sat on the swing. "What's this?" Ella said, picking it up. Kyle smiled. "Open it." Ella opened the box. Inside was a small, silver necklace. A tiny unicorn horn pendant, made from a shard of Kale's horn. Engraved on the back was a word. "Forever." "Kale," Ella said, her voice tight. "This is beautiful." Kyle knelt down, taking the necklace from her. He put it around her neck, his fingers brushing her skin. In unicorn tradition, giving someone a horn shard means you're bonded, forever. I want to be bonded to you, if you'll have me." Ella's eyes were wet. She nodded, her voice shaking. "No, of course I will." Kale stood up, pulling her into a hug. "I love you, Ella, more than I ever thought possible." "I love you too, Kyle," she said. They kissed, slow and deep, as the sun set over the forest. The worm napped in the grass, the dryads hummed, and the maple tree swayed in the wind. Thorn's way of saying congratulations, Ella thought. Life was weird. It was messy. It had poachers and traps and loss. But it also had honey cookies, late-night talks, forest flowers, and a shadow unicorn who loved her. And for Ella, that was perfect. In the end, that's all anyone could ask for. Forever. Chapter 26. Shard Necklaces and Shy Fawns. The morning sun glinted off the silver necklace around Ella's neck. Kale's horn shard, engraved with forever, as she unlocked the barn's front door. It had been a week since Kale had given it to her, and she hadn't taken it off once, not even when she'd accidentally spilled honey on her shirt, or when she'd spent 3 hours scrubbing maple syrup off the breakroom floor. Obsessed much? Lyra said, leaning against the porch rail with a granola bar in her hand. She nodded at the necklace, grinning. It's cute. But if you wear it in the shower, it's gonna get rusty. Ella rolled her eyes, pushing past her. It's not rusty. It's magical. Kyle said it'll stay shiny forever. Magical jewelry, Lyra said, following her inside. How romantic. When's the wedding? I call dibs on being the maid of honor. Lyra, Ella said, her face warming. We just got bonded. Unicorn tradition, remember? Not married. Same thing, Lyra said. And I want a dress made of starlight. Or honey. Honey's better. Before Ella could argue, Mia ran into the barn, her pink hair a mess. Ella, there's a new client. A fawn. He's scared. He won't come out of the woods. Ella straightened up, grabbing her wand from her toolkit. Where is he? By the maple tree, Mia said. Kale's with him, but he's just hiding behind a bush. He keeps saying humans are scary. Ella and Lyra rushed to the eastern forest, where Kyle was kneeling by a bush, his voice soft. It's okay. We won't hurt you. My friend Ella's here. She's really nice. She likes fawns. The bush rustled, and a small face peeked out, big brown eyes, curly horns, and a coat of soft brown fur. Really? He said, his voice tiny. Ella knelt down, smiling gently. Really? I've never met a fawn before. What's your name? Toby, he said, stepping out from behind the bush. He was about 3 feet tall, with cloven hooves and a tail that twitched when he was nervous. I need help. My horn's stuck. It got tangled in a vine, and now it hurts. Kyle nodded, gesturing for Ella to join him. We can help, but we need you to stay still. Okay, Toby. Toby nodded, sitting down on the grass. Ella carefully untangled the vine from his horn, while Kyle held a small jar of honey. For courage, he said. When she finished, Toby sighed, rubbing his horn. Thank you, he said. He looked up at Ella, his eyes wide. Your necklace is pretty. Is it magic? Ella touched the horn shard, smiling. Yeah, it is. My boyfriend gave it to me. He's a unicorn. Toby's eyes lit up. A unicorn? Like Kale? Can I meet him? Kale laughed, sitting down next to him. I'm right here, Toby. For the rest of the morning, Toby hung around the barn, asking Kale questions about unicorns and Ella about humans. He even helped Mia feed the worm, who took a liking to him and stole his hat, much to Toby's amusement. When Toby left, he hugged Ella and Kale. I'll come back, he said. I want to learn about magic. And honey, Ella waved, watching him run into the forest. Kale wrapped his arm around her waist, kissing her temple. He's cute. Reminds me of when I was young. Ella smiled. Scared of everything? Kale nodded. Scared of everything. But then my mum told me, courage isn't being fearless, it's being scared and still trying. Ella leaned into his side. She was right. Just like you were right about the necklace. It's perfect. Kale kissed her, slow and sweet. The sun was warm. The forest was quiet. And for a moment, everything felt like it was exactly where it should be. Chapter 27. Retro Days and Family Calls. Absolutely not, Kale said, staring at the pile of clothes Lyra had dumped on his office desk. There was a plaid suit jacket, a striped tie, and a pair of brown leather shoes, all vintage human clothes, according to Lyra. Why not? Lyra said, grinning. It's retro day. Everyone's wearing old human clothes. Gareth's got a top hat. Torrin's wearing a toga again. Even Mia's got a poodle skirt. Kale picked up the suit jacket, holding it at arm's length. It's too tight, and the tie looks stupid. Ella laughed. taking the jacket from him. See, Mon, it'll be fun. I'll help you put it on, and if you hate it, you can take it off. Promise. Kyle sighed, but he nodded. Fine. But if anyone laughs, I'm blaming you. Ella helped him put on the jacket. It was a little tight around the shoulders, but it looked good, especially with his silver-streaked hair tied back. She adjusted the tie, her fingers brushing his chest. Hey, you look handsome. Cale's ears turned pink. Shut up. They walked out of his office to find the barn in chaos. Gareth was wearing a top hat and a cane, scowling as Lyra took pictures. Torrin was reciting a poem in a toga, surrounded by amused dryads, and Mia was twirling in her poodle skirt, the worm sitting on her shoulder. Look at Cale, Mia said, pointing. You look like a movie star. Cale glared, but he didn't take off the jacket. Lyra clapped her hands. Now we're going to the vintage chow in town. Mabel said they've got old records, vintage candy, and a photo booth. Let's go. They piled into Cale's truck. Ella in a 1950s-style dress she'd found at a thrift store, Cale in his suit, Lyra in a sequined top and bell-bottoms, Gareth in his top hat, Mia in her poodle skirt, and Torrin in his toga. He refused to take it off. The vintage cause was busy, with stalls selling old records, retro toys, and homemade candy. Mabel was there, manning a stall with apple pie, and she laughed when she saw Cale. Well, look at you, she said. All dressed up. Ella, you've got good taste. Ella smiled. Thanks, Mabel. He fought me on the tie. Cale crossed his arms. The tie is stupid. Mabel handed him a piece of apple pie. Eat this. It'll make you feel better. And if you're nice, I'll let you pick out a vintage record for Ella. She loves old music, right? Ella's face warmed. I do. My grandma used to play Frank Sinatra for me. Kyle nodded, finishing the pie. Let's find a Frank Sinatra record. They wandered the stalls, Cale holding Ella's hand, Lyra taking pictures of everything, Gareth complaining about silly human traditions. Cale found a Frank Sinatra record, in the wee small hours, and bought it for Ella, along with a vintage hair clip shaped like a maple leaf. For your hair, he said, tucking it behind her ear. It matches the necklace. Ella kissed him. Thank you. I love it. That night, Ella's phone rang. It was her mum. Why, honey? Your dad and I were thinking. We'd like to come visit next month. We want to see the maple tree. And we want to get to know Cale better. Ella's heart raced. Her parents still didn't know Cale was a unicorn. She'd been meaning to tell them, but she hadn't found the right time. Sure, she said. That'd be great. I have something to tell you. About Cale. Her mom smiled. Whatever it is, we'll love him. He makes you happy. That's all that matters. Ella breathed a sigh of relief. Thanks, Mum. I'll see you next month. She hung up, turning to Cale, who was sitting on the couch watching her. They're coming next month. I told them. I have something to tell them. About you. Cale nodded, taking her hand. We'll tell them together. Whatever happens, we'll handle it. Ella smiled. I know. She leaned against him, the vintage record in one hand, the maple leaf hair clip in the other. Life was weird, but it was good, and she wouldn't have it any other way. Chapter 28. Worm Sickness and Midnight Vigils. The worm's whimpering woke Ella up at 2 a.m. She'd been sleeping on Kyle's couch. She'd stayed late to finish training notes, and the sound was soft, but it pulled her out of sleep. She stumbled to Cale's office, where the worm's cage was, and her heart dropped. He was curled up in the corner, his blue scales dull, his breathing shallow. His tiny wings were trembling, and he whimpered every time he moved. Cale, Ella whispered, shaking his shoulder. He'd fallen asleep at his desk, his head resting on a pile of Forest Council reports. Kyle, wake up. The worm's sick. Cale jolted awake, his eyes wide. He rushed to the cage, kneeling down. What's wrong with him? Ella shook her head. I don't know. He's whimpering, his scales are dull, he looks terrible. Cale opened the cage, carefully picking up the worm. The little creature nuzzled his palm, his eyes half closed. He's burning up, Cale said, his voice tight. Magic fever. Probably from something he ate. Ella's stomach twisted. Something he ate. Like chocolate? Kale nodded. Lyra. She must have left chocolate somewhere. Worms can't process it. It makes their magic go haywire. They carried the worm to the break room, setting him on a soft blanket. Kale mixed honey water with a drop of his magic. To calm his fever, he said, and fed it to the worm with a tiny spoon. Ella fetched a cold compress from the fridge, gently pressing it to the worm's belly. He'll be okay, Kale said, but his voice was worried. He's strong, but he needs to rest. They sat up with him all night, taking turns feeding him honey water and changing the compress. Ella told stories about her grandma's maple tree, and Kale talked about his childhood in the forest, how he'd once gotten lost and a fawn had helped him find his way home. At dawn, the worm's fever broke. He opened his eyes, nuzzling Ella's hand, and let out a tiny chirp. He's better, Ella said, smiling through tears. Kale nodded, pulling her into a hug. Told you he was strong. Lyra walked in a few hours later, yawning. Morning, oh no. What happened to the worm? Ella glared at her. He ate chocolate. Your chocolate. He had magic fever. We stayed up all night with him. Lyra's face turned white. I'm so sorry. I left a chocolate bar on the counter for Mia. I forgot the worm climbs. Kale sighed. Just. Don't leave chocolate where he can reach it. Ever. He could have died. Lyra nodded, her voice small. I won't. I promise. Can I? Can I help take care of him? To make up for it? Ella smiled. Yeah? You can feed him honey water. But no chocolate. Lyra nodded, sitting down next to the worm. Got it. No chocolate. Ever. Ella and Kale walked to the porch, watching the sunrise. Kyle wrapped his arm around her waist, kissing her forehead. Thanks for staying up with me. I couldn't have done it alone. Ella leaned into him. I'll always stay up with you, no matter what. He kissed her, slow and sweet. The forest was quiet. The worm was safe. And for a moment, everything felt perfect. Chapter 29. Parent Truths and Unicorn Acceptance. Ella's parents arrived on a sunny Saturday morning, their car packed with suitcases and a cooler of her mum's famous potato salad. Ella waited on the porch of her apartment, her hands shaking, Kale standing next to her. You'll be okay, Kale said, squeezing her hand. They love you. They'll understand. Ella nodded, but her heart was racing. What if they didn't understand? What if they thought Kale was a monster? What if they made her choose between them? The car pulled up, and her mum jumped out, hugging her. Ella, your apartment is so cute. And Kale, you look great. Her dad smiled, shaking Kale's hand. Good to see you, son. Ella's told us a lot about you. Kale nodded, his face calm. Good to see you too, sir. Ma'am. They went inside, sitting on the couch. Ella's mom handed her a container of potato salad, while her dad asked Kyle about his job. At the farm, Ella took a deep breath. Oh, Mum, leave. Dad, there's something I need to tell you. About Kale. Her parents looked at her, then at Kale. Ella's mom smiled. We know, honey. He's a unicorn. Ella's eyes widened. You know. Her dad laughed. Mabel told us. She said you've been dating a unicorn for a year, and you were too scared to tell us. She also said he's a good guy, fixes cars, bakes cookies, protects the forest. Ella stared at them. You're not mad? Or scared? Her mom shook her head, taking her hand. Ella, we just want you to be happy. Kyle makes you happy. He's kind. He's thoughtful. He even remembered, I like honey. That's all that matters. Kale smiled, holding up a jar of honey. I brought it for you. From my bees. It's the best kind. Ella's mum took the jar, grinning. Thank you, Kale. I'll make honey cake with it. Ella's favourite. They spent the day together touring the barn, meeting the worm who took a liking to Ella's dad, and having a picnic under Thorn's maple tree. Ella's dad helped Kale fix a loose board on the porch, while her mum talked to Lyra about unicorn traditions. When it was time for her parents to leave, her mum hugged Kale. Take care of her, she said. Kyle nodded. I will. I promise. Ella's dad shook his hand. Good, and if you ever need help fixing that car of hers, Call me. I know a thing or two about old Hondas. They drove away, and Ella turned to Kale, smiling. I can't believe they took it so well. Kale kissed her. I told you. They love you. And they see how happy you are. Ella leaned into him, watching the sunset. Her parents knew. They accepted Kale. Everything was perfect. Well, almost perfect. Lyra ran out of the barn, grinning. Now that your parents know, can we have a party? A unicorn human party. With honey cake? Ella laughed. Yes, Lyra. We can have a party. Kale shook his head, but he was smiling. Fine. But no chocolate. For the worm's sake. Lyra saluted. No chocolate. Promise. Chapter 30. Maple Picnics and Forever Wishes. The party was perfect. Ella and Kale had set up a picnic under Thorn's maple tree, with a table covered in honey cake, potato salad, and vintage candy from the Jing. Lyra had decorated the tree with fairy lights. Gareth had bought a portable record player and a Frank Sinatra record, and Torrin had written a new poem. For Ella and Kale, the star-crossed human and unicorn. Mia was playing with the worm, who was wearing a tiny party hat, and Ella's parents had come back for the day, bringing more potato salad and a camera. This is nice, Ella said, sitting next to Kale on the blanket. Perfect. Kale nodded, wrapping his arm around her. Yeah, it is. Torrin cleared his throat, stepping forward. May I recite my poem? Everyone cheered, and Torrin began, his voice dramatic. Beneath the maple's green embrace, two souls found love, no time to waste. A human heart, a unicorn's grace. Together, they'll face every place. Honey sweet and coffee warm. Their love will weather every storm. Forever bonded, hand in hand, in this forest, their promised land. Ella's eyes were wet. She clapped, along with everyone else. That's beautiful, Torrin. Thank you. Torrin smiled. You're welcome. It's the truth. They ate cake, danced to Frank Sinatra, and told stories. Ella about her grandma's maple tree, Kale about his mom's honeybees, her parents about Ella's childhood, embarrassing ones mostly. When the sun set, Ella's mom took a photo of Ella and Kale under the maple tree, their hands intertwined, the necklace around Ella's neck glinting in the light. I'll frame this, her mom said, grinning. Put it on the fridge. As the party wound down, Ella and Kale walked to the maple tree, standing under its branches. The fairy lights twinkled. The record player played soft music, and the worm napped in Kale's arms. Thorn would be happy, Ella said, touching the tree's bark. He always wanted us to be happy. Kale nodded. He is happy. I can feel him. In the wind. In the leaves. He turned to her, his teal eyes bright. I love you, Ella. More than words. Ella smiled. I love you too, Kale. Forever. They kissed, slow and deep, as the stars came out. The forest was quiet, their friends were laughing, and the maple tree swayed in the wind. Thorn's way of saying, I love you too. Ella knew there would be more challenges, more magical creatures to help, more silly arguments with Lyra, more late nights fixing her car. But she didn't care. She had Kale, she had her family, she had her friends. And that was enough. In the end, that's all anyone could ask for. Forever. Chapter 31. Anxious Hedgehogs and Honey Heists. The barn's morning calm was shattered by a high-pitched squeak. Small, frantic, and coming from the supply closet. Ella set down her latte vanilla oat milk, Kale's handiwork, and followed the noise, her wand tucked in her pocket. When she pulled open the door, she found a hedgehog spine stuck with bits of hay, eyes wide as acorns, huddled behind a bag of chicken feed. Hey there, Ella said, softening her voice. She knelt down, keeping her hands visible. I'm not going to hurt you. What's your name? The hedgehog squeaked again, then mumbled something so quiet she could barely hear it. P. Percy. I messed up my magic. Ella's eyebrows lifted. Here, magic? You're a magical hedgehog? Percy nodded, his spines twitching. I can make flowers grow. But I got scared. A kid chased me yesterday, and now my magic's all wobbly. I tried to grow a daisy, and I made a cactus instead. It pricked me. He held up a tiny paw where a tiny thorn stuck out. Ella stifled a laugh, pulling a tissue from her pocket to gently remove the thorn. That sounds stressful. Want to talk about it? I'm a magical creature tech. I help with stuff like this. Percy brightened, scurrying onto her palm. Really? You can fix my magic? Let's try, Ella said. She carried him to the break room, where Kyle was making honey toast, his third of the morning, and Lyra was rummaging through the pantry. New client, Kyle said, nodding at Percy. Percy, Ella said. He's got magic anxiety. Grew a cactus instead of a daisy. Lyra gasped, dropping a jar of honey. A cactus? That's amazing. Teach me how to do that. I could prank Gareth. Gareth, who'd just walked in with a clipboard, glared. Don't even think about it, Fox. I still have thorns in my boot from the last time you pranked me. Ella rolled her eyes, setting Percy on the table. She pulled out her wand, its teal crystal glowing softly. Percy, I need you to take a deep breath. Think about something calm, like a sunny field or fresh grass. Okay? Percy closed his eyes, his spines relaxing. Ella touched the wand to his back, whispering the calming spell Kyle had taught her. For a second, nothing happened. Then, a tiny daisy sprouted from the table, its petals bright white. I did it, Percy squeaked, doing a little spin. Kale smiled, setting a tiny dish of honey in front of him. Good job. Honey helps with nerves. Try it. Percy lapped up the honey, his eyes closing in delight. Lyra leaned over, grinning. Hey, Percy, you want to help me steal Garrett's lunch? He's got a turkey sandwich, and he doesn't share. Gareth slammed his clipboard down. Lyra, stop corrupting the hedgehog. Ella laughed, picking Percy up. See more, Percy. Let's show you the maple tree. Thorns there. He'll love your daisies. They walked to the eastern forest, Kale trailing behind with a smile. Percy chattered the whole way, talking about his favourite flower, daisies, and his least favourite, cacti, obviously. When they reached the maple tree, Thorn's leaves rustled, his way of saying hello. See? Ella said, setting Percy on a branch. He likes you. Percy beamed, growing a tiny daisy on one of the tree's branches. For Thorn, thank you for helping me, Ella. And Kale. Kale nodded, his teal eyes warm. Anytime, Percy. You're always welcome here. As they walked back to the barn, Ella slicked her hand into Kale's. He's cute. Reminds me of when I first started. Scared, but trying. Kale squeezed her hand. You still try, every day. That's why I love you. Ella's face warmed. She leaned up, kissing his cheek. I love you too. Even when you eat all the honey toast. Kale laughed, pulling her closer. Guilty. Chapter 32. Council invitations and honey cakes. Ella's desk was covered in papers. Training schedules, client notes, a half-finished list of worm-safe snacks, when Gareth dropped a sealed envelope on top of it. The wax seal had a maple tree engraved on it, and the paper smelled like pine. Forest Council's been asking for you, Gareth said, crossing his arms. Said it's important. Don't be late, they hate late humans. Ella picked up the envelope, her heart racing. The Forest Council was the governing body of Bramblewood's magical creatures. Kale had mentioned them, but she'd never met them. What if they thought she wasn't qualified? What if they wanted to take her job away? Hey, Kale said, appearing in her office doorway. He could read her anxiety like a book. After a year together, he knew all her tells, the way she bit her lip, the way she tapped her foot. What's wrong? Ella held up the envelope. The council wants to see me. What if I mess up? What if they don't like me? Kale knelt down, taking her hands. They already like you. They've been watching you. How you helped Percy, how you fixed the worm's fever, how you talked to Thorn like he's a friend. You're not just a tech, Ella. You're a bridge between humans and magical creatures. That's what they need. Ella took a deep breath. You're right. I want to make them proud. You will, Kale said. He kissed her knuckles. Now go. I'll hold down the fort, and if Lyra tries to steal honey, I'll stop her. Probably. Ella laughed, standing up. She slipped the envelope into her bag, grabbed her wand, and headed for the council's meeting place, a clearing in the deep forest, surrounded by ancient trees with glowing runes. The council members were a mix of creatures: a wise old owl, their leader, Archibald, a stoic centaur, Torin's cousin, Darius, and a playful nymph, Lila's aunt, Elara. They sat around a stone table, their expressions serious. But when Ella walked in, Archibald smiled. "Ella Marlowe," he said. "We've been looking forward to meeting you." Ella sat down, her hands in her lap. "You wanted to see me?" Elara nodded, twirling a strand of her leafy hair. "We need a human magical creature, liaison. Someone to help humans understand us, and vice versa. You're perfect for the job. You've already built trust, with Percy, with the worm, with Kale. We want you." Ella's eyes widened. "Ah? Me? Are you sure? I'm just a tech." Archibald shook his head. "You're more than that. You're kind. You listen. That's what matters. Will you take the job?" Ella nodded, her voice shaking. "No, I'd be honored." When she left the clearing, she ran back to the barn, her heart light. Kale was waiting on the porch, holding a small cake. Honey, of course, with a candle in the center. "Did you know?" Ella said, grinning. Kyle shrugged, but his ears were pink. "Maybe I asked Archibald to send the letter today. I wanted to celebrate." Ella hugged him, kissing his cheek. "Thank you for believing in me." He kissed her back, slow and sweet. "Always." That night, they ate the honey cake on Ella's porch, watching the stars. Ella twirled the necklace around her neck, the unicorn horn shard, forever engraved on the back, and smiled. She had a job she loved, a boyfriend who adored her, and a family, magical and human, who supported her. Life was weird, but it was perfect. Chapter 33. Busy Schedules and Firefly. Apologies. Ella's new job as liaison kept her busy. Busier than she'd ever been. She spent her days meeting with town officials, organizing Magical Creature 101 classes for humans, and mediating between a grumpy dryad and a farmer who'd accidentally planted corn too close to his tree. By the end of the week, she was exhausted, and she'd forgotten her promise to have a picnic with Kyle under the maple tree. She arrived at the barn at 7 p.m., her feet sore, to find Kale sitting on the porch swing staring at the forest. The picnic basket was next to him, full of her favorite snacks: turkey sandwiches, potato salad, chocolate chip cookies, the ones he'd learned to bake just for her. "Kale," Ella said, her voice soft, "I'm so sorry. I got caught up with the farmer and the dryad, and I lost track of time." Kale stood up, forcing a smile. "It's okay. I get it. You're busy." But his eyes were dull, his shoulders slouched. Ella knew him too well. He wasn't mad, he was hurt. "It's not okay," Ella said. She walked over, taking his hands. "I promised, and I broke it. You deserve better than that." Kale sighed, pulling her into a hug. "I know you're busy. I missed you. We haven't had time to ourselves all week." Ella's heart ached. He was right. Between the council meetings, the classes, and the mediations, she'd barely had time to kiss him goodbye in the morning. "I have an idea," Ella said, pulling away. She grabbed her jacket from the porch. "See, Mon, I know a place." She led him to the eastern forest, past the maple tree, to a small meadow she'd found a few weeks ago. Fireflies flickered in the grass, and the moon cast a soft glow over everything. Ella spread out a blanket, pulling Kale down next to her. "I'm sorry I forgot the picnic," she said. "But we can have a firefly picnic instead. No sandwiches, no potato salad, just us." Kale smiled, his teal eyes brightening. "Just us." They lay on the blanket, watching the fireflies. Ella told him about the farmer and the dryad. They'd agreed to plant sunflowers between the corn and the tree. "Sunflowers make everyone happy," the dryad had said. And Kale told her about Percy, who'd come back to grow daisies around the barn. "I love this," Kale said, wrapping his arm around her. "Just being with you." Ella leaned up, kissing him. "Me too. I'll do better. No more missing picnics." Kale laughed. "Deal. But if you do, I'm making you eat honey cake for every meal until you apologize." Ella grinned. "Fair." They stayed in the meadow until midnight, chasing fireflies and talking about nothing and everything. When they walked back to the barn, Kale held her hand, and Ella felt the necklace around her neck. forever press against her chest. She'd made a mistake, but they'd fixed it. That's what love was, she thought. Not being perfect, being sorry, and being together. Chapter 34. Secret Tree Holes and Childhood Memories. Close your eyes, Cale said, taking Ella's hand. They were deep in the eastern forest, past the maple tree and the meadow, and the air smelled like pine and honey. Cale, if you're leading me to a nest of spiders, I'm never talking to you again, Ella said, but she closed her eyes anyway. He laughed, guiding her forward. No spiders. Promise. They walked for a few minutes, then Cale stopped. Open. Ella opened her eyes. In front of her was a massive oak tree. Its trunk split open to form a small, cozy hole lined with moss, filled with old books and covered in ancient runes. Is my secret base, Cale said, his voice soft. I came here when I was young. When I was scared, or lonely. Ella stepped inside, running her fingers over the runes. What do the runes mean? Protection, Cale said. My mom carved them. She said they'd keep me safe. He picked up an old book from the floor. Tales of Unicorns and Fawns, and smiled. I read this until the pages fell out. Ella sat down on the moss, pulling Cale next to her. You were lonely, he nodded. After the poachers stole my horn shard, I didn't trust anyone. I stayed here for weeks, just reading. I thought I'd never have friends again. Ella's heart hurt. She wrapped her arm around him, resting her head on his shoulder. I'm sorry you had to be alone. Cale kissed her forehead. I'm not alone anymore. I have you, Lyra, Gareth, even Torin with his poems. Ella smiled, pulling a small photo from her pocket, one of them under the maple tree, taken at the party. She tucked it into the book, next to a page about unicorn bonds. Now it's got a new memory, she said. Cale looked at the photo, his eyes soft. Thank you for making this place happy again. They sat in the tree hole for hours, talking about Cale's childhood. How he'd learned to fly badly at first, how he befriended a fawn who taught him to find honey, how he'd cried when his mom died. Ella told him about her grandma, about the maple tree they'd climbed, about the day she'd decided to study medieval folklore. When they left, Cale carved a new rune into the tree, Ella next to his mom's. Now it's official, he said. You're part of the secret base. Ella laughed, taking his hand. Good. I was getting jealous of the book. As they walked back to the barn, the moon was high and the forest was quiet. Ella felt the necklace around her neck, and she knew this was where she belonged. With Cale, in their secret tree hole, in there forever. Chapter 35. Open Days and New Beginnings. The magical creature Open Day was chaos, but the good kind. Ella had organised it with the council, a day where Bramblewood's humans could come to the barn, meet the magical creatures, and learn about their world. The parking lot was full of cars, the porch was covered in fairy lights, and Torin was reciting a poem about unity to a crowd of smiling people. Mia was showing a group of kids how to feed the worm, who was wearing a tiny bow tie. Lyra was giving fox spirit selfies for a small honey donation, and Gareth was grumpily handing out safety brochures, though he'd secretly added a page of how to spot a stolen honey jar, aimed directly at Lyra. Ella stood by the maple tree, talking to a group of parents about Percy the Hedgehog, when Cale walked over, holding 2 lattes. Everything's going perfect, he said, handing her one. Ella smiled, taking a sip. Yeah? Who knew humans would love magical creatures this much? Mabel walked over, grinning. They love you too. You've made this town feel like home. Before, people were scared of unicorns, of dryads. Now, they're bringing them apple pie. Ella looked around, at the kids laughing with the worm, at the parents talking to Thorn who was crying maple syrup, happy tears, at Lyra and Gareth bickering over a jar of honey, and felt her heart fill. This was what she'd wanted. A world where humans and magical creatures could coexist. A world where Kyle didn't have to hide. Hey, a small voice said. Ella looked down to find a little girl, maybe 7, with pigtails and a unicorn backpack staring up at her. Is that a real unicorn? She nodded at Cale, who was talking to a farmer about honeybees. Ella knelt down. Yep, that's Cale. He's my boyfriend. The little girl's eyes widened. Can I meet him? I want to be a magical creature tech when I grow up. Ella smiled, taking her hand. See, Mon, I'll introduce you. She led the girl to Kale, who knelt down, his teal eyes warm. Hi there, I'm Kale. I'm Lily, the girl said. I want to help creatures like you, and Percy, and the worm. Kale smiled, handing her a tiny jar of honey. Then you will. Just be kind. That's the most important part. Lily nodded, clutching the honey jar. I will. I promise. As the day wound down, Ella and Kale stood on the porch, watching the last of the guests leave. The worm was asleep in Kale's arms. Percy was curled up in Ella's pocket, and the maple tree swayed in the wind. Thorn's way of saying, well done. We did good, Ella said, leaning into Kale's side. Kale kissed her, slow and deep. We did. Together. They stayed on the porch until the stars came out, talking about the future, about more open days, about training Lily to be a tech, about growing old together under the maple tree. Ella touched the necklace around her neck. Forever, and smiled. Forever wasn't a word. It was a promise to be kind, to be there, to love each other, even when life got busy, even when there were anxious hedgehogs and honey heists and secret tree holes. Forever was them, and that was perfect. Chapter 36. Vine Mishaps and Memory. Honey Percy's panicked squeak echoed through the barn at 9 a.m. Loud enough to make Gareth drop his clipboard and Lyra spit out her honey latte. Ella set down her client notes, a dryad's request for less corn, more sunflowers, and followed the noise to the eastern forest, where she found the hedgehog tangled in a mess of ivy. Ella, Percy squeaked, his spine stuck to the vines. I was trying to make a boy for Thorn's tree. But my magic went wonky. Now it won't stop growing. The ivy had already wrapped around 3 of the maple tree's branches, its leaves spreading fast. Ella knelt down, carefully untangling a vine from Percy's paw. It's okay. Magic gets excited sometimes. We'll fix it. Kale appeared a minute later, carrying a small shears, enchanted to avoid hurting the tree. Heard there was a vine crisis, he said, grinning. He knelt next to Ella, his fingers brushing hers as he snipped a thick ivy strand. Percy, next time you want to decorate, tell us first. We've got a whole box of non-magical ribbons in the barn. Percy's ears drooped. I just wanted to make Thorn happy. It's his tree birthday, he told me last week. Thorn's leaves rustled, soft, happy sounds. Ella smiled, patting the tree's bark. He's happy, even with the ivy, but let's give him something softer, okay? They spent the next hour untangling the ivy and decorating the tree with ribbons. Pink, blue and gold. Lyra's contribution. I stole them from Gareth's office. He won't miss 'em. Kale brought out a jar of honey, pouring a tiny dish for Percy and a larger one for Thorn. Maple trees love honey. My mom taught me that. As Percy lapped up the honey, Kale sat next to Ella on the grass, his shoulder pressing against hers. I used to do this with my mom, he said, nodding at the tree. Every spring, we'd decorate the oak by our cabin. She'd use her magic to grow flowers, and I'd hang the ribbons. I was terrible at it. I'd drop them in the mud. Ella smiled, touching his hand. Did she get mad? Kale laughed. No. She'd say, messy ribbons are the best kind, they have character. He picked up a gold ribbon, tying it around her wrist. For you, so you'll always have a little piece of my mum's tree. Ella's heart warmed. She leaned up, kissing his cheek. Thank you. I'll keep it forever. Lyra, who'd been watching from a distance, yelled, Hey, are we going to eat the honey cake I found in the break room? Or are you two going to make googly eyes all day? Gareth, appearing out of nowhere, scowled. That's my honey cake. I was saving it for lunch. Ella laughed, pulling Kale to his feet. See, Mon, let's go stop them before Gareth chases Lyra through the forest. As they walked back to the barn, Percy trotting beside them, Ella twisted the gold ribbon around her wrist. It was a small thing, just a ribbon, but it felt like a piece of Kale's heart. Forever, she thought, is the small things that make forever real. Chapter 37. Rainy days and warm cocoa. The storm hit Bramblewood at dawn. Dark clouds, thunder that shook the barn, and rain that poured in sheets. Ella woke up to the sound of her phone buzzing. A text from Thorn sent via Lyra, since trees can't type. That said, roots are drowning. Need help. She threw on her flannel and rain boots, grabbing an umbrella, and raced to the forest. Kale was already there, digging a trench around the maple tree with a shovel, his shirt soaked through. Thorn's leaves were drooping, his branches shaking. Scared, Ella realized. His roots are waterlogged, Kale said, pausing to wipe rain from his face. We need to drain the water fast, or they'll rot. Ella nodded, grabbing a shovel from the barn. They dug side by side, the rain soaking their hair, the thunder drowning out their conversation. Mia arrived a few minutes later with a wheelbarrow full of sand. Gareth said it helps absorb water, and Lyra showed up with a handful of enchanted seeds. They grow into drainage pipes. I stole them from the council's supply closet. Gareth arrived last, grumbling about stupid rain and stupid trees, but he brought a pump for the water, not for you two, he said. Though his ears were pink when Ella thanked him. They worked for hours, digging trenches, laying sand, planting Lyra's seeds, which sprouted into small, sturdy pipes, and pumping water away from the roots. Ella slipped in the mud at one point, but Kale caught her, his arms tight around her waist. Careful, he said, his voice soft. I don't want you getting hurt. Ella smiled, even as rain dripped down her face. I'm okay. We're almost done. By noon, the storm had passed, and Thorn's leaves were perking up. He dropped a small maple seed at Ella's feet. A gift, Kale said. He's thanking you. They tramped back to the barn, soaked and muddy, but grinning. Lyra built a fire in the break room's fireplace, and Mia made hot cocoa, rich, creamy, with a dash of honey. They sat around the fire, sipping cocoa and drying off, as Torrin recited a poem about rainy days and friends who dig trenches. This is nice, Ella said, leaning against Kale's shoulder. His shirt was still damp, but he was warm, like a human space heater, she thought. Kale nodded, pressing a kiss to her forehead. Yeah, even with the mud. Gareth, who'd been quiet, held up his cocoa. 2 not drowning trees, he said, his voice gruff. Everyone cheered, clinking their mugs. Outside, the sun came out, casting a rainbow over the forest. Thorn's tree stood tall, its leaves glowing in the sunlight. Ella closed her eyes, listening to her friends laugh. This was home, she thought. Not the apartment, not the barn. These people. These magical, messy, wonderful people. And Kale, with his teal eyes and honey smile. He was her forever. Chapter 38. Honey Cakes and Secret Promises. Ella had been planning it for weeks, a surprise for KL to thank him for everything. She'd asked Mabel for his mum's honey cake recipe. It's a secret, but for you. I'll tell it. And she'd spent 3 nights practicing burning 2 cakes, undercooking 1, and finally getting it right. She baked the cake on a Saturday morning, filling her apartment with the smell of honey and cinnamon. She decorated it with fresh daisies, Percy had grown them for her, special delivery, and set it on the kitchen table, along with a bottle of apple cider, Kale's favourite. Kale arrived at 6 p.m, carrying a small bag. I brought something, he said, holding up a jar of honey. It's from my bees, extra sweet. I thought we could put it on. Cake? His eyes widened when he saw the table. Did you? Ella nodded, grinning. Mabel gave me the recipe. I practiced 3 times. Don't laugh if it's bad. Kale walked over, his hands shaking as he touched the cake. My mum used to make this for my birthday. I haven't had it since she died. Ella's heart ached. She stepped closer, wrapping her arms around him. I'm sorry if it's not the same. I tried. Kale kissed her, cutting her off. It's perfect. Thank you. They ate the cake at the kitchen table, sharing a fork. Ella insisted it was more romantic. Kale's eyes closed when he took the first bite, a soft smile on his face. It tastes like her, he said, his voice tight. Like home. After cake, Kale took her hand. I have something to show you. Come on. He led her to the secret oak tree hole, which he decorated with fairy lights and a blanket. He sat down, pulling her into his lap. I've been thinking, he said, his fingers brushing the necklace around her neck, the unicorn horn shard forever engraved on the back. I don't want to just be bonded. I want a home with you, a real one, a cabin maybe, by the forest, with a porch swing and a garden for your daisies and a shelf for your history books. Ella's eyes filled with tears. Kyle. I know it's soon, he said, rushing on, but I love you. More than I ever thought possible. And I want to spend forever with you, if you'll let me. Ella nodded, her voice shaking. No, of course I will. He kissed her, slow and deep, the fairy lights glowing around them. Outside, the moon rose, casting a soft glow over the forest. Ella touched the necklace, then Cale's face. Warm, real, hers. Forever wasn't a distant dream. It was a cabin in the woods. A honey cake. A secret tree hole. It was them. Chapter 39. Tiny Techs and Counsel. Praise Lily arrived at the barn at 8 a.m. Her unicorn backpack slung over her shoulder, a notebook in her hand. I'm ready, she said, bouncing on her toes. Ella said I can learn to feed the worm today, and maybe meet Percy. Ella smiled, kneeling down to her level. First, we learn the rules. Rule 1. No chocolate near the worm. Rule 2. Be gentle with Percy. His spines are sensitive. Rule 3. If Gareth yells, it's probably because Lyra stole his lunch. Don't worry about it. Lily nodded, scribbling the rules in her notebook. Got it. No chocolate. Be gentle. Gareth's mad at Lyra. Cale walked over, holding a tiny dish of honey. For Percy, he said, handing it to Lily. He'll like you if you bring him honey. Trust me. Lily grinned, taking the dish. Let's go. They spent the morning teaching Lily the ropes, how to hold the worm gently under his belly, how to feed Percy slowly so he doesn't choke, and how to talk to thorns softly, trees like quiet voices, Ella said. Lily was a quick learner. She even managed to calm a nervous baby dryad who'd gotten lost in the barn. She's good, Cale said, watching Lily laugh as the worm napped on her shoulder. He stood next to Ella, his hand in hers. Like you, Ella smiled. She's better. She's not scared to ask questions. I was so nervous my first week. Cale kissed her forehead. You were perfect. Even when you spilled honey on my office floor. That afternoon, Archibald the Owl Council leader visited the barn. He watched Lily help Mia with the dryad, then turned to Ella. You've done something wonderful here, he said. Humans and magical creatures used to be scared of each other. Why, now they're bringing cake. They're teaching each other. You made that happen. Ella's face warmed. I didn't do it alone. Kyle helped. Lyra. Gareth. Everyone. Archibald nodded, his eyes twinkling. But you started it. You listened. That's the hardest part. He handed her a small medal engraved with a maple tree and a unicorn. The council's thank you. For being our bridge. Lily ran over, her eyes wide. Did you get a medal? That's so cool. Ella knelt down, showing her the medal. Maybe one day you'll get one too. If you keep being kind. Lily nodded, her notebook already open. I will. I'm going to be the best magical creature tech ever. As Archibald left, Cale wrapped his arm around Ella. I'm proud of you, he said. Ella leaned into him, watching Lily chase Percy through the grass. I'm proud of us. This was what it meant to be a bridge, she thought. Not just mediating arguments, but teaching, inspiring, building a future where everyone belonged. And she couldn't wait to build it with Cale. Chapter 40. Forever in the maple shade, 1 year later. The magical creature. Open day was bigger than ever. Cars lined the road to the barn. Kids laughed as they fed the worm, now full grown, but still just as cuddly, and Percy had a small daisy stand. He grew them for free, for anyone who's nice. Lily was there too, no longer a student, but a junior tech. She helped a group of kids make flower crowns for Thorn's tree. Her notebook filled with client notes. Dryad a 3, needs more sun. Worm, loves apple slices. Ella stood under the maple tree, watching Cale talk to a group of farmers about honeybees. He was wearing the plaid suit jacket from Retro Day. He'd grown to like it, only for you. And the sun caught his silver-streaked hair. He's good with them, Mabel said, walking over with a slice of honey cake. Always has been. But you make him softer. Happier. Ella smiled, taking the cake. He makes me happier too. I never thought I'd find a home here. Not until him. Mabel nodded, her eyes warm. Home isn't a place. It's the people who love you, even if they're unicorns. As the sun began to set, Cale walked over, taking Ella's hand. See, Mon, I have something to show you. He led her to the secret oak tree hole, now their special spot, which he'd expanded into a small cabin. It had a porch swing, a garden with daisies, and a shelf filled with Ella's history books and Cale's old unicorn tales. Welcome home, Cale said, opening the door. Ella stepped inside, her eyes filling with tears. It was perfect, cozy, warm theirs. Cale knelt down, pulling a small box from his pocket. Inside was a ring, made from a tiny shard of his horn, matching her necklace. I know we said forever, he said, his voice soft. But I want to say it again. Ella Marlowe, will you marry me? Not just as a bond. As my wife, my partner, my home. Ella nodded, her voice shaking. No, 1,000 times yes. He slipped the ring on her finger, then stood up, pulling her into a hug. Outside, the barn's guests cheered. Lyra had been watching, of course, and Percy shot a shower of daisies over them. Later, they sat on the cabin's porch swing, watching the stars. Ella touched her necklace and her ring. Forever, and smiled. She'd come to Bramblewood, broke, scared, and jobless. She'd found a job, friends, a family. She'd found Kyle. In the grim, chaotic world, she'd found her forever. And it was perfect. The end.